Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about some of the questions that have arisen about what happened in Pennsylvania involving Trump. We're going to go through some of the questions, some of the speculation, some of the critiques, some of the potential effects and how it's being read, and just kind of go through everything all at once. This one may turn into a little bit of a rant, but I feel like it will answer or at least address most of the questions that have come in. Okay, so the big one, the one that's all over social media, speculation about motive. Hear me out on this. We don't know. Get comfortable with uncertainty. We don't know. You have a situation where there's a dramatic event and people are trying to assign motive and they are marrying themselves to theories when there's no evidence. The evidence that has come out says that the suspect is a registered Republican who at one point in time donated to something that might indicate support of the Democratic Party. So, this is the actual evidence that we have at time of filming. That could be used to suggest that he is a never-Trump Republican. That could be used to suggest that he is a member of the Democratic Party who is just so ardent in his support that he registered as a Republican to vote in the primaries. It could be used to suggest that he is far, 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 far right and views Trump as a sellout. Could be any of those things. We don't know. The evidence isn't there. The other thing that's happening is the people who are making commentary about a potential motive, they're mostly political commentators, so they are looking for a political motive. We don't even have evidence to suggest that is true yet. This guy could have just read Catcher in the Rye too much, or because Trump's been talking about Hannibal Lecter and Silence of the Lambs, he wanted to impress Jodie Foster. If you don't get those references, just let it go. We don't know a motive yet. The other thing that is coming up are the failures, the security failures, and that is feeding into a lot of theories. Most of this is pointing at the marksman. Let's be clear on this. Unless the critiques are about breathing and stuff like that, they're not going to be real. The marksmen didn't fail. They didn't. You don't often see them in action, right? Because for them to do something, a whole bunch of other things had to fail. That type of security is based on concentric rings. The other rings had issues. If you want to talk about the failure, if I had to guess, and I don't have evidence to say this for certain, but I'm going to suggest there's a high probability that the advance team messed up and didn't realize that there was a building within a couple hundred yards that had rooftop access that needed to be secured. I'm going to suggest that that is probably the moment where things really started to go sideways. Or they flagged it, the advance team flagged it, but something happened, there was a miscommunication, and it didn't get secured. That's going to be a bigger mistake than anything that the marksman did. And then along this line, there's the kind of questioning that always accompanies dramatic events, where, well, how did this kid do this? When we talk about irregular conflict on this channel, something that comes up often, a quote you will often hear me say, is that professional soldiers are predictable, but the world is full of amateurs. And people often misunderstand what that means. It's one of those things, you don't get it until you really get it. It's a lot like, what is the way of the warrior? And the answer to that question is death. And when you're young and stupid, you think that that means, yeah, the way of the warrior's death, because I'm a killer. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil because I'm the biggest, baddest, meanest person in the valley. But that's not what it means. It's the resolute acceptance of your own death. And you don't figure that out right away. That's saying about professional soldiers. It doesn't mean that the amateur is going to do something unpredictable and suffer a bad end. The saying indicates that professional soldiers are predictable. The world is full of amateurs, and it's going to be one of those amateurs that does something that is so outside of the norm, something that a professional would know better than to do, and they're going to come out of nowhere and clean your clock. World full of amateurs. That's how it happened. Now, one of the other things that has come up is how this is going to impact polling. There's conventional wisdom on this, saying that it will make Trump a more sympathetic a more sympathetic candidate. But this is not a conventional election. I don't know that that's going to hold true. We don't know. When you're talking about dramatic world events that carry a whole lot of significance, be comfortable with uncertainty. A lot of times, if you want to have a good read, you have to wait to get the information. You can't base it on vibes. You have to actually gather evidence to support your theory, not create a theory in seconds and then look for evidence to support it. Most of the things that are being debated right now, there literally isn't evidence to support it. And the one thing that there is actually evidence about, as far as best practices for security and stuff like that, the people who are debating about it, they're debating on the very last thing in a string of things to go wrong. So that's not actually really helpful either. I would wait. There will be more information to follow. Don't marry yourself to a theory right now. Wait until you get the information, and then you can form your own opinion. Most of the people who are out there providing speculation are doing it solely on vibes. There is no evidence to go on at time of filming to even discuss, much less debate, what's happening. We don't know. Be comfortable with uncertainty. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.